Miss Jennifer Pink, and you. So we don't have to cut that out. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am your girl, Miss Jennifer Pink, and you are tuned in to the Thrive Magazine Single Mom Spotlight for the month of April. Yay! So April's magazine is all about our Thrive being in bloom, getting deep down and cleaning out the clutter and just experiencing the magic and the beauty just like spring, right? The flowers are in bloom, things are turning beautiful, bright colors, and our lives can do the exact same thing. So I am here today with the amazing and the one and the only Miss Kristle Shanell. Hi.
Hi, you guys.
And so we're going to do a small interview. You can read the interview in the magazine. You can see pictures of her and her beautiful baby in the magazine. Well, she's not really a baby, but you know, it'll always be a baby to us mommies.
That's right.
But this is the live interview that we are starting to do here at Thrive Magazine because we know we're visual, right? We're visual creatures.
That's right.
So we need it in more than one way. So before we get deep into it, why don't you go ahead and tell them exactly who you are, what you do, so they can get a little bit of better understanding.
Okay. Well, hi, you guys. My name is Kristle Shanell, and Lord have mercy, where can I start? I am a singer, songwriter, upcoming author. Can't wait to finish my book. And also, I am an advocate for domestic violence, HIV, mental illness. I am a domestic violence survivor / overcomer. I also am an advocate for HIV and AIDS. I had 2 girlfriends that died from AIDS. Both of them, their husbands gave it to them. So I have a passion for that area as well. I am an entrepreneur, Lord Jesus, a single mom. Okay, I do so much. I mean, sometimes it's too much to even keep track of. I'm also a radio talk show host. Also coming up soon with my TV show, things of that nature, different things that I'm working on currently. But that's a little bit about me. Mentor. I just do it all, you guys. Everybody thinks that I'm a Jamaican, but I'm not. I'm originally from South Carolina, a little small town called Utahville, South Carolina. But I do 1,000 things. Too much to go into all the details, but look out for me.
So now you see why I chose her, right?
Hilarious.
Because her life is definitely in bloom. She's definitely living out her thrive. Because you can't do all of those things, just like I can't do all the things that you guys know I do if you're not blooming.
That's right.
They don't work in the cocoon stage.
That's right.
They only work when you go full force and full throttle.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit because we are a single mom, right? Let's get into a little bit of how many babies you have and if they're co-parenting or not so much.
Right. Well, I have a son. I have 1 child, and I have a son. His name is Elijah. He's my everything. So, of course, just 1 baby for now. I did have a miscarriage 5 years ago, 4 months pregnant, no heartbeat. But so I say I have a baby in heaven. And as far as the co-parenting portion of it, unfortunately my son's father is not involved, and I'm okay with that. God has sent someone very tremendous in my life that is taking on the role of being a good father for him. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Right. God, and you know, I say it to women all the time, co-parenting is like the optimal. Like, yes, we want that. We want the biological father to be the father.
Right.
But other people can stand in the gap.
Absolutely.
And make the village work regardless.
Absolutely. And my whole scenario is, you know, I'm not one of those particular, like they say, baby mothers. I'm a good baby mother. Okay. I don't keep my son away from his dad. You know, his dad unfortunately chooses not to be in my son's life. So, like I said, I'm okay with that. at the end of the day, it's his loss, someone else gained. And, maybe down the line in the future, he'll realize that and we'll move forward.
Right. What's the number one thing I say? We just have to let them be them.
That's it.
You can't force your expectations. You can't force them to become you.
That's it.
You have to let them be them, and that teaches our children an even bigger lesson than if we try to force them to be the perfect parent that we think they need to be. Because we're not perfect parents.
That's right.
We can only be us.
That's right.
So, that's the biggest lesson. And, God would never put more on us than we can bear, and He would never put more on our kids than they can bear. So we have to just know. No, it's not the ideal. No, it's not what I want. No, it's not these things. But like you said earlier, there's somebody who stepped in and stepped up to the plate, and there's always somebody who's going to step up and step in, and it becomes our job as single mothers to let them.
That's right.
Let them.
And I'm okay with that. I really, really am okay with that. I've been praying for a particular kind of man, and God blessed me with that particular kind of man. And I always used to say, God, if my son's father is not in his life, please send me somebody that's going to take care of my child and be there for my child. So He's done just that.
Right. He will give you exactly what you asked for.
That's right.
Even if you're not sure.
That's right. That's right. So thank you, God, for answering my prayer.
Right. So how do you, and I hate the word balance, like everyone will tell you, because there's no such thing. Balance means that it's perfect, the scales are even, and they're never. Ever.
Never in a day.
But how do you coexist everything?
It's hard. It's extremely hard. For me, and let's just say for my son suffers with chronic asthma, chronic bronchitis, allergies, eczema, everything outside he's allergic to. So he's constantly sick. He's had pneumonia 5 times. I stay at the doctor's, from the doctor, the hospital, back and forth. So it's been a very, very stressful 9 years. I mean, extremely stressful. Some days I just have to just zone out, I would say, just to have a peace of mind and just try to make it work. But life happens, things happen, you have work, you have just life, and the other thing is that, for example, my mom is currently battling breast cancer. So the juggle of her battling breast cancer, the juggle of my son constantly being sick. I suffer with arthritis and fibromyalgia, so in chronic pain every single day, masking that pain and working every single day. Just got a promotion with my job. I work for SunTrust Bank, so got a promotion, pretty much assistant manager for the bank. And it's just been very, very difficult, just trying to balance everything. And some days I don't have energy to do anything else, not even really have a whole conversation with him. Hey, how was your day? But other than that, oh, it was good, besides like a 2-minute conversation, I'm exhausted. It's like I don't want to talk to nobody else by the time I get home, just want to shower, eat, and go to sleep. Try it again the next day. But it's been very, very interesting over the years. Sometimes I just have to talk to myself, to get through each day, to try to just keep my mind. Because sometimes it's like, okay, I feel like I'm losing my mind here, but I just continue to just push. Continue to just push. I mean, push through the pain. A lot of times people see me throughout the day, and I'm mobile, but at night I'm paralyzed. Like, because of the arthritis and the fibromyalgia, I can't even move at night. I'm literally paralyzed. I can't roll over like the average person. I have to rock myself up like I'm in a rocking chair just to get out of my bed. A lot of times I just get up in the middle of the night. I never really get proper rest because I'm always in chronic pain. But I just get up in my bed and I just lay there and cry. Just cry, like, okay, God, am I being punished for the life that I've lived in my past? Trying to understand everything. But it's been very, very tough over the years. But at the end of the day, I got to keep pushing. Got to keep pushing.
Right, and I mean, that to me is the true example of thriving on your own terms.
Yeah.
Right? Because for so many, when you say thrive, they think of like the Bentley, the mansion, the money, the freedom, quote unquote.
Right.
And that's not what it means. It just means to flourish. And from my understanding, it really has to do with flourishing in your purpose.
That's right.
You know, and so our purpose is what gives us the fuel.
That's
even
right.
in spite of, the pain, or in spite of financial difficulties that we face as single mothers. No matter what, everybody can use some more money, right? But just how you just continue and you adding more,
right.
Like you didn't just stop with, okay, I'm an advocate. I'm when people ask me to show up, I show up.
Right.
You didn't just stop there. You said, I'm going to do a radio show.
That's right.
And then you said, I want to do a TV show because I want to get more exposure and I want to talk about it more and I want to do more. You know what I'm saying? And even on your job, you could have stopped at, I don't know what you started at, but I mean, let's just say teller. You could have stopped at teller.
Right. And my thing is, I started out as a teller, and then I went to a teller lead, and then SunTrust decided to switch up their, every so often they make changes. So then my title got dropped down from the teller lead back to a teller. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I worked my way up to this teller lead, and then now you drop me back down to a teller. But 11 years later, then that's when I became the teller coordinator / assistant manager, whatever you want to call it, right, to dress it up, But it's pretty much, the second person in charge, right underneath the branch manager. So I'm grateful. That promotion just happened on March the 16th. So thank you, guys.
See, he takes care of us.
Yes, super excited. But 11 years later, but I was, a part of that time frame. I did not continue to move up or wanted to really do anything more because my son was constantly sick. And, talking back and forth with my mother, she was like, Kristle, you need to be close to Elijah, and even just recently when I went for this interview, I told her, I said, the distance is a little bit, farther because I'm used to being like 15 minutes away from him. Now I can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour away. God forbid he has an asthma attack or whatever. I said, okay, God, I have to cover him under the blood at the end of the day. And if anything happens, call 911 for my child. You know what I mean? They can take care of him quicker than mommy will be able to anyway.
Even if you could get there.
That's it. I'm not a medical doctor, so what can I possibly do other than give him a breathing treatment like anybody else? But and pray over him, of course. But I'm very, very grateful, very, very grateful for all my life experiences, all of it, every last bit of it.
And I see how everything that has happened in your life has made you who you are.
Absolutely.
Right? And I see that you've accepted that. And you see that. And you live that. Right? Because there's a lot of people that experience domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't tell anybody. Right? It's almost like it's a secret. It's a taboo topic we don't talk about. And then there's some people who experience it and write books and tell the story and want to save lives. Right? And not only are you taking something you went through, but you're also taking something that those closest to you went through with the AIDS
absolutely
need to really get out and spread the word and talk about it. And you're talking about the AIDS that we never want to talk about. And right? Because we always talk about AIDS. Like, AIDS is a real thing. Right. You can get AIDS, right? But we never want to talk about our husband gave us AIDS. No, you got to be gay. You got to be out here doing it.
Way more than just that.
Right. And even, like I learned recently that the elderly population is a growing population.
Yes, because they're doing a little bit of everything. That's it.
Right.
60 and 70 years old. Like, why are you dealing with STD? Exactly.
But for you to take that and bring it in and work with, and then being a single mom, and I know you've got to talk about that.
Of course.
It's who you are. Like I like him to say it's like saying I'm a black woman. Like, what do you want me to, people say I'm a mother, it's the same thing.
Right.
I'm doing it on the solo tip. It's just what it is.
Right.
So just take all of that and not let it keep you in the winter, in the cold, or keep you in the dark. Not let it keep you in that fall season where everything's just falling apart.
Right.
And things are just tumultuous and those types of things, but letting it bring you into bloom and letting it bring you into a space that's beautiful, you know, where you're still in pain, you're still, you know, going through some days. He's not healed from his sickness, and your mother is now going through something. But to be able to take all of those things and say, I have a purpose to serve, and I'm going to serve this purpose, whether it's at SunTrust, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on the TV, whether it's in my book, whether it's on a speaking engagement, whether it's in a one-on-one conversation. I'm going to take all of this and give it to someone else who needs it. And to me, that is just the greatest example of thriving and blooming in your thrive, you know, because there is going to come a point when your thrive is quote unquote complete, you know, and you're settled and you've done it all, and you're reaping the benefits and the reward of the harvest, right? We all look for that day. Oh, God. Jesus. But the blooming season, when, you know, like if we think about the flowers, they're opening up, they're blooming, and the bees are coming and taking from them to go make something else. And that's what you're doing. People are coming and they're taking from you to go make something else. Like, and you're living that. Like, when you are speaking about any of those subjects, or when you're on the radio or on the TV, like, do you ever have those moments of like, I'm really doing this?
Absolutely. Quite often. My radio show is geared to motivate, empower, and inspire. So even though I interview so many different types of people, my focus is to motivate, empower, and inspire. And like I tell people, it doesn't matter whether or not the person is homeless, whether or not the person is a prostitute. I was both. So at the end of the day, my focus is to always motivate, empower, and inspire in any way I possibly can. So at times I do get in that, like, wow, I did it, or I'm doing it mode. Absolutely, quite often.
Or do you ever have those moments when, like, maybe you're telling a piece of the story or something, and you're like, I lived through that. And
even with, and I just want to piggyback on the domestic violence piece, because a lot of times you always hear the story of the woman, but you never hear the story of the man. So I want to clarify something and just say that even though I'm a survivor of domestic violence as well as a overcomer, at the same time I was the batterer in the beginning. So you hear women tell their story, and it's always the woman, you know, being the victim. But in the beginning, it was the man, which was one of my exes, that was the victim. You know, I decided that I wanted to hit him. So what you think somebody's going to do? You hit me, eventually I'm going to hit you back. You understand?
I'm going to have to show you that I'm a man. Give me a moment.
Let's just be real. Let me clarify that. I went to jail because of it. Absolutely. I had to do community service because of it. Absolutely. I also had to get counseling. Pay out a whole lot of money to get that stuff expunged off of my record. So I'm free. I'm in the clear.
We can talk about it now.
Yes. But just went through a whole lot because of it. And then as I moved on and came to Atlanta, you know, kind of still experienced some of the domestic violence and the physical abuse, the emotional, financial, spiritual, you know, all that just intertwined together. A lot of times, even though I got tired of being abused the other way, that I became physical. Okay, so just wanted to definitely clarify that, because sometimes people were like, oh, you know, she went through this, she went through that. Let's just be honest, you know, I definitely put my hands on him first, you know, and that's how that became about. Went to jail, black eyes, all that good stuff. So,
but there's power in saying that, in saying, like, I caused this,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, not admonishing his role in it, and not saying like, oh, he's off scot-free.
Right.
Ain't nobody saying that.
Right.
But you know, like even when I talk about my story, like sharing my role, like I was in this situation, and for me, it had a lot to do with I didn't have self-esteem.
And I suffer with that as well.
Right. So, and I feel like that's what a lot of root causes, you know, we want to deal with. It's happened, and how do we get through it?
Right.
But before we can get through it, we need to understand why.
Right.
And we need to work on that problem, because once we fix the why, we stop a lot of things from happening. But even being able to say, like, I started it. There's power in that, in the fact that it's you taking ownership and responsibility, because see, now you can change it.
That's right.
And you can, you know, through the counseling and the community service and the work that you've done, you can now walk into a situation and go, you know, I really want to knock you out. So it's time for me to go.
Right. And you know, it's amazing because I literally just went through that back in October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, you know, with someone. And when I tell you, I mean, I was like, you know, almost to the point where, I wanted to strangle him. You understand? But I had to think about my son. During that time, my baby's asthma was acting up, and I was like, okay, if I go to jail here, then, you know, who's going to take care of my baby? You know, if he has an asthma attack and I'm in jail, you know, what am I going to do? You know, so I had to really think about my 9-year-old. Like, okay, Kristle, let's calm down. Let's get it together. And believe it or not, I'm still going through counseling right now because of that situation. You understand? So, you know, people sometimes look at the person's outer and don't know exactly what's going on in the end.
In the inside is where it's all at.
That's it. That's it.
So, I mean, see, when I do these interviews, I learn things that I didn't know. Because I try not to have too much of a conversation, because then I won't ask for you guys. Right. You guys won't get the goods, and I'll just have them for myself. But that's amazing to me. And, like, there was just so much power in hearing you say that. Because it's something about responsibility.
Yeah, you got to own it.
And hearing it and knowing that we are now walking in it, you know, and even just, you know, like I heard you mention that, you know, prostitution is something that you lived through. And not being, not saying that you're proud of it. not the pride.
But it's my story.
It's your story.
It's my story. And
it's what you've done.
That's it. And how can I help the next person if I'm being quiet and silent about it? And, you know, I didn't have to physically walk the street. I was an in-house prostitute. That's what I tell people. I was in-house. It came to me. I didn't have to go out and get it. It came to me, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, I had to do a 360 life-changing experience for my son, you know. Having dreams that I was going to die from AIDS, you know. God allows me to see things visually. I am able to have dreams and see things before it happens, that kind of thing. So just having those dreams and those visions that, okay, if I don't change my life, this is what's going to happen.
So I have a question. Did your friends get AIDS before or after you changed your life?
Before.
You know that was part of him setting you up for the change.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Truly amazing. And I even thought about it like that.
Like he was totally showing you what can happen.
Right.
What you can
right before my eyes.
Right before your eyes.
Right before my eyes.
And then the day came when you made the transformation. And part of the transformation was you saying, I could be that.
That's it.
I can live that.
That's it. That's it. And you know, I actually currently have several friends that is living with HIV right now. Beautiful, just like me and you. Would never know unless they told you. You understand what I'm saying? And I do a lot of, we do a lot of things together as far as ministry and, you know, just love them to death. You know what I mean? And they know who they are. Lots of love to you guys. Love you, love you, love you, love you. But, you know, it's just like, you know, you have some of those moments where your mouth just drops, like, God, you know, this could have been me. A lot of those situations, you know, the person may have slept with one person and got it. Here I've been with over 100 men and STD free, 36 years old. You understand what I'm saying? So to be able to, all right, I'm going to keep myself together. I'm not going to cry.
That's what I told you. Like, the moment you said it, I felt it.
Oh, my God. But to be able to live that life. And God allow me to be here for my son and to be able to raise him. It's a blessing. So everything that I do for God. Because at the end of the day, he could have took his hands off of me a long time ago. And a lot of times people say, oh, you do your events and things of that nature and you're not charging a fee and this and that and the third. Because what I do from my heart. At the end of the day, God did not have to do what he did for me. So how dare I go in and expect to be a millionaire off of my events and different things that I do. Now, let's not be naive, you know.
I still need to eat.
Yes, let's not be naive. You know, my son still has to eat and I still have to eat. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about, I'm a miracle. I'm a miracle. 36 years old, STD free. Now, don't get it twisted. I tell people that I had chlamydia. Of course, that's something that it's curable.
And common.
That's right.
It's weird to say. An STD is common.
Yeah. I've had trichomonas, which, again, is common. Was able to get rid of it. I had HPV. Now, they say you can't get rid of HPV, but guess what? I stand before you today to let you know that I don't have it. And I have my paperwork to show that I don't have it. So anytime you need to see it, please feel free, and I'll put it on the projector screen for you. You know, but definitely, you know, and I want to just say, you know, God bless my doctor, Gail Ravello. In Roswell, Georgia.
Shout out to Dr. Gail.
Shout out to Dr. Gail, because at the end of the day, she's a Jamaican, but like 15 degrees, okay? Oh my God, you're going to
real Jamaican.
Yeah, she's serious. But I thank God for her, because I went to her and I told her what was going on with my body. You know, my gynecologist told me I had this HPV, and how am I going to get rid of this thing, you know? And I remember God saying, Kristle, you better be glad that it's HPV and not HIV. And when I tell you that thing slapped me down on the floor, I mean like no other. And I said, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you. So Dr. Gail Ravello is the one, and she's a natural doctor, but she was the one that cleared me and got me to where I am today, STD free and no HPV. So I love you, Dr. Gail Ravello. And I tell people about you all the time. But God bless her. You know, God put people on this earth for a reason. And what one doctor tells you you can't get rid of, the man up above, the doctor up above tells me something different.
Because he wanted you to get rid of that.
That's it.
And see, that's the part we have to pay attention to, because I know a lot of people struggle with illnesses or this or that, and they immediately cry out to God for the miracle.
That's it.
And I'm not saying that's wrong, because I want God to heal everybody of everything. I would love him to. But there's a purpose sometimes in what you have or what you're experiencing. And just like, you know, you said, he told you, just be happy it's HPV and not HIV. Because there was a purpose. And whether it was to get your attention, whether it was to give you a greater testimony, whether it was to show you his power, that he can heal the incurable.
Come on.
Regardless of what it was, because you know, I feel like God sometimes be having 20 purposes. One little thing, we be like trying to get the one purpose, and he's like, I got 20. You know, but it strengthens you to do what you do, right? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of women who have friends who've been affected by something, right? Because we all know people who had something happen to them, and I honestly believe that you were purposed to pick up the torch and carry the fight. when it comes to HIV and domestic violence and those other things, because your story is unique. See, most of the people who stand up for HIV or AIDS or are people who are living with it, right? People who have struggled with it.
Right.
But your story is, I should be.
Right.
I should have been.
But God.
But God kept me.
That's it.
But He still allowed me to go through it with somebody else that was close to me that I loved and cared for. So I've experienced it.
Right.
And I know what it feels like.
Oh, yeah.
But He kept me, and He kept you for the greater purpose of living out the testimony. Because there's a little girl sitting somewhere who is out here just doing it.
Right.
With every Tom, Dick, Harry, Sue, Sally, Kim. And she needs you because you live the life that she's living or that she's thinking about living.
Right.
And she needs you to tell her, yeah, I was saved, but I know it.
Right.
And it's only by that grace.
Yeah. And what I want to definitely say is that a lot of times, me personally, I was raised in the church. In church, let's just be real, several times of the week, you know. And my mom raised me the right way, you know. But when I was in that abusive relationship and just didn't realize that it was really abuse at the time, I just really lost my mind completely. Like, that relationship is the reason why I went through everything that I went through in my life, being very promiscuous from one man to another, because I was looking for that love in all the wrong places, trying to get that fulfillment, and my fulfillment was sex. I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened in my life, you know. So from one person to another, from one person to another. I'm talking about, I have stories for days, okay, that will last a lifetime, but I'm just grateful that God was able to just come into my life and give me the okay that, Kristle, okay, it's time to calm down. Let's calm this down, you know. I remember one night, I was like, okay, God, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do? And I started Googling, like, sex addiction, you know, rehab places. I was stunned because I didn't even know that it even exists, okay?
We thought that was fake.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really fake. And
that's how men just claim to get out of trouble.
And then when I looked online and I saw everything that came up, I was like, whoa, this thing is really real. But I remember me telling God, I said, okay, God, I need help. So He said, what I want you to do is place a Bible at the head of your bed, the foot, and the two sides. And when you feel like you want to call somebody or somebody texts or you got that urge, pick up that Bible and read it. Every single time I pick up my Bible, read, and I fall asleep. And guess what happens? The next day, it's morning. It's time to go to work now. Okay? If I have this urge again, then guess what? I do the same thing. Because, you know, normally you're in the bed just reading, eventually just going to fall asleep. You know, if you sleep like me, you know, just fall right to sleep. And that's what kept happening. And then I was able to wean myself off of that thing. Just kept weaning myself off, and I kept going to church and trying to just do different things to keep myself busy. And then now, like, for just recently, I had someone message me on IMO, somebody that I dealt with, oh my God, years and years and years ago. But it's amazing because when he met me years and years ago, I was doing what I was doing. I'm a total new person now. So I had to check him. The blood still works, okay? Come on. But I had to check him. I said, don't you ever approach me in this manner again. And he was like, you know, how you doing? You know, just a little basic talk. And then it was like, you need a massage? Don't come at me like that. Because I told him, I said, the girl that you met years and years ago, I'm not that girl.
She don't live here no more.
She don't live here no more. That person does not even exist. I don't even know who she was, okay? So I just had to recently block him last week because he would not stop. He just kept sending messages like that.
He thought he could pull you back.
Yeah.
He thought he could pull you back. But what was So I did know that story. But what was interesting, even when you said it now, that I didn't really catch the first time, when we're, as Christians, right, we don't read our bed in the Bible because we'll fall asleep and we won't get the word and we won't worship God, right? You see, there's a purpose for everything.
That's it.
There's no right or wrong way to do it.
That's it.
It's about you and what is needed for you. And he knew that you needed something to just distract you long enough.
That's it. For me to fall asleep.
For you to fall asleep and not give in to the temptation. And that is so key, because a lot of people try to fight addictions or fight their problems head on, right? And then they stumble back 10 times worse,
right? Because
trying to fight
it happened several times. You know,
you trying to fight it, and you can't fight it.
That's it.
He has to step in and fight it. You've got to give that surrender.
That's it.
And just, okay, I'm going to put my Bible here and I'm going to open it up. That's surrender in its greatest form.
Right.
Because who does that?
Right.
She didn't come up with that. I promise y'all. She did not come up with that on nobody's idea.
Yes.
But the surrender is what heals you.
Yes.
You know, and that's what we have to understand. The flower surrenders to nature and the cycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't, what if flowers just decided, you are not taking my pollen, I am too good for you. You know what I'm saying? What if the flowers just free will decided? It'd be in chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos. There's so many things that would be affected.
That's true.
It's just about the surrender.
That's it.
And you've surrendered your life. And not only did you surrender it, but now you're using it. And that's the bloom.
Yeah.
That's the bloom, and that's the most amazing. I hope you guys are picking up all this amazing goodness and greatness, because there's so much amazingness that you're sharing. Like, I'm blown away by a lot of the things that you're saying. And, you know, no two lives are the same.
That's good.
You know, like, tons of us are single moms, but we haven't lived what somebody else has lived. And it's so funny, because I tell people I know I'm perfect for this, because I've lived through so much of the single mom life.
That's right.
So much of the pain, the drama
of this life.
I ain't got no other stuff. I got this problem right here.
And I've experienced it all. I mean, you know, sleeping in my car and going to Quick Trip off of Peachtree Industrial Boulevard in Norcross, Georgia. You know, going in Quick Trip and taking bathing in the Quick Trip and then getting dressed to go to SunTrust Bank. Like, nobody knew anything, you know. Nobody knew anything, you know. I kept my whole life away from my mother, and I just recently told her, I think like 2 years ago, like, some of the life that I've lived, and she was just in awe. Like,
but you made it through.
Yeah. And she was like, where did I go wrong? And I'm like, you didn't go wrong.
And she's like, why didn't you call me?
Exactly. But I told her, I said, know that all your prayers that you have prayed was the reason why I'm still even alive. I'm talking about all the teaching. I mean, and even though I went through everything that I went through, you know, living in my car and, you know, staying in a shelter and things of that nature, everything was for a reason, and everything was for a purpose, because now I'm able to help people in so many different areas, you know, and I'm grateful for that. You know, am I truly proud of my life? Yeah, I am.
And
I might as well be, you know.
There's no point to regretting it if you've learned the lessons from it.
That's it.
What am I going to regret? It was an amazing lesson.
Yeah.
Do I wish I could have learned it easier?
Yes, absolutely.
But I needed the lesson. I needed it.
That's it.
So I am proud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And people get confused by that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's the truth, and that's amazing. Yeah. Like, I love that. And I love that. I wish you had the hit, because maybe she could help. But I love the fact that you suffered in silence.
I did.
You suffered in silence, and that's what we do. Like, there's a woman right now watching this that is suffering in silence. She is just putting on the mask every day, and nobody knows.
Right.
Some people may, I think they're
kind of know,
but I don't really want to know, or I don't want to ask. I don't want to have to help.
Right.
You know, whatever it may be. But you suffered in silence, and you lived through it, and then you came out on the other side.
That's it. That's it. Rejoicing.
Rejoicing.
Rejoicing. I'm very, very grateful.
Think about it. You, like, the simplest of things. You just said that you were whole bathing at Quick Trip to go work at Suntrust. And now, you almost run in Suntrust.
Wow.
Like, look at the complete transformation. And most people would look at the situation and say, I might as well just quit my job. Might as well just, right? Because we get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Living a life of depression. I mean, from middle school on up. And I'm 36 years old now. And still suffer with it a little bit because of all the trauma I've been through in life. Just recently, my counselor told me, hey, you suffer with, what is it called, PTSD? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
yeah. I had to think about it in my head.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, and I'm just like, the devil is a liar. I'm not claiming that. I'm not receiving that. But then when I thought about it, I was like, that's nothing to be ashamed of, Kristle. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, if that's how my counselor feels, then that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take that negative and turn it into a positive.
Keep walking through it.
That's it. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
So, before we get out of here, before we end, I have to ask you the question I ask everybody, which anybody who knows what the question is about to be. What's your number one piece of sage, your piece of wisdom that you would give to another single mother who has either lived the life you lived and trying to get to the other side, or who is starting out and maybe like they're almost on, what's that number one piece that you would give them that they can hold on to till they get to the other side?
Number one, God has to be, he's the most important piece ever. So number one, having that relationship and keeping him close, and I mean extremely and very close to you. But at the same time, just knowing that you can make it, to keep pushing, no matter how hard it may seem. You may not have any food in the refrigerator. I've been there, okay, where I didn't even have any food in my refrigerator. And I could have simply called my mother or my father and say, hey, I don't have any food to feed me and my son. I didn't do that. I believe in independence and figuring out things on my own. But just that particular day when I didn't have food to even feed my child, I think there was an egg or something that was on the top shelf, and I think literally that was it that was in my refrigerator. And then my coworker, Giovanna Wilson, love you to death, girl, gave me $20 or $30 or something like that, and she said, God told me to give this to you. She had no idea what that did for me and what I was experiencing at home. So therefore, that's how I was able to feed my son. And I'm grateful for the people that have been in my life and have been there to help me and walk with me throughout this process. But I just want to say, and y'all can tell I'm a big crybaby, so please forgive me.
It's a hard woman thing.
But I just want to say, be encouraged and know that you can make it through any situation and keep pushing. Keep pushing. Like Steve Harvey say, jump. Just jump. Just do whatever it takes for you to be successful and for you to be able to come out on the other side with you and your child or your children. Remember that you can do it, and Kristle Shanell loves you.
I love it. That is one of the best pieces of sage that I've heard.
Yeah.
Because it's from the heart.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And it was true and
Absolutely.
powerful. I love it. So that's going to wrap it up for the April edition of the Thriving Mom Spotlight for Thrive Magazine. For our Thrive and Bloom, tune in next month as we will have a spotlight all about a mother's love. I can't give it away, I can't tell the secrets, but I guarantee you should join us next month for our next spotlight, because our next guest has a story to tell about mother.
Wow.
And we all know we got mamas.
That's right.
And they got stories.
That's right. And I just want to say thank you so much for even thinking of me and giving me the opportunity to be here with you. Even though I cried most of the time, you guys, but I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you very, very much.
So I just have to I have to share this, right? I know I said goodbye, but I'm not really goodbye yet. Let me tell you how God ordained some things. So for this issue, I said, I don't, like, because for all the last 3 issues, I reached out to someone I knew personally, but maybe didn't know all the ins and outs or whatever.
Right.
And I said, I want to feature you. I want to do this story on you, right? So this month, I posted in my my group, my Sage Thriving Single Moms Club. Join us if you're not, on Facebook. And I said, does anybody have a single mom they know who's thriving, who's in bloom? I can't even right now tell you the lady's name.
Wow.
But she tagged you in the post, but you can't see because you weren't part of the group.
Right, and I was wondering, like, how you even contacted me.
Who's
Why
this lady?
Right.
Who's this lady? Right. So she tagged you and another lady, and so I kind of, looked at your Facebook profiles, and I was like, both of these would be amazing women, right? How do I choose? I don't know how to choose, right? So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to send both of them a message and see what happens. You're the only one that responded. She didn't respond. But I don't take offense to that because it was God ordained.
Right.
And then when we got here, you told me that you know Celinda.
Right.
And you were at Celinda's event in March. I was there.
Right.
So, and Celinda told you today before you got here
about you,
about me, and that you guys should connect and maybe work together or do something. But see how God ordained something.
Right.
He wanted for
for
whatever the purpose is, and I don't even try to understand what he got going on no more.
No need.
But he wanted us to come together.
Absolutely.
And he was so determined to make it happen.
Absolutely.
That he was going to give 3, 4, 5 opportunity to make sure it happens.
Right.
And I love seeing how he works and his hands and things, because before I could never right, when you going through your mess, you be like, God ain't here, he don't love me, he don't. But now to be in the situation I'm in with God, and we struggling because I tell y'all all the time, I be talking to God because he tripping sometimes. But to see how he ordains things, and he works things out. And when he wants something to happen, it will happen.
That's it.
And it will serve a greater purpose.
Right.
I could not have scripted this interview to happen this way. I couldn't have scripted you.
Right.
And I couldn't have scripted the conversation we had before we even started. Like, none of that could I have scripted.
That's true.
He purposely put this together to save someone who's going to see it for maybe a greater purpose between you and I. All of that is just so amazing.
It's beautiful.
To me.
It really,
it's so
really
amazing
is.
to me. So now I have a new friend.
Yay!
We're going to be BFFs.
That's right.
But I'm actually going to really say goodbye now.
Yeah.
So until next time, I wish you guys love, peace, and baby powder freshness.
Oh, I love it.